Jacques, welcome. What is at stake for President Macron when it comes to this pension reform? How important is this?
It's important for his reputation as a reformer. When he came on the scene, when he was elected first in 2017, was new blood. He was going to change and reform France, make it more competitive and all that. And actually, in his first mandate, he tried to impose a reform which was far more ambitious than this one, which the aim of overhauling the whole system and creating a points-based system. But he had to abandon that reform in the face of popular opposition and use the advent of COVID as a reason for it, to give up on that because he had other urgencies. And now he's presenting a reform which is not at all revolutionary, which is exactly the same type of reform as his predecessors, Hollande and Sarkozy, did, i.e. you keep the system as it is, but you just increase the age of retirement and the number of years that you need to qualify for a full pension.
As you say, we've been here before, France has been here before. What mistakes do you think were made when this pension reform was originally unveiled?
But this one, this latest one, the main mistake was to give the impression that this reform was needed in order to help France finance the books, balance the books, because France has spent a lot of money dealing with the consequences of COVID and with the inflation and fuel prices resulting from the Ukraine war. So the French debt has gone up to 115% of the GDP, and he gave the impression that it was one way of compensating for the amount of money which has been distributed to the French people to bring their energy bills lower, their fuel bills lower, and also all the money that was given to businesses affected by COVID. Now he's changed his tune, realized that in order to qualify to ensure the survival of the French system is a bit special. It is based on the fact that the workers of today pay for the pensioners of today. And the problem that France has is that it's not a problem in a way, it's quite, the life expectancy keeps on increasing. So the number of pensioners is increasing, while the number of workers is not decreasing, and the birth rate is kind of declining. In the 60s, when the system was created after the war, but in the 60s, for example, you had 4 contributors, 4 workers for 1 pensioner. Now we have 1.7 for worker for 1 pensioner, and this ratio could go down. So it would be very difficult to increase the contribution from the workers of today, hence the perceived need for that reform.
Jacques, the detail of this is about to unfold on tea time television across France. How much of what sort of response do you anticipate from the French public when they see the detail of this announcement in the coming minutes?
I think that obviously, as you pointed out, 70% of people are opposed to it. But I think that they will adopt measures to soften the blow. Initially, for example, during his campaign, Macron said it would be 65. Now we're talking about 64. There's measures which will help to maybe make it for people who've really tough jobs, who suffer, who can't work till very, very old, measures to decrease the number of years they need to contribute and to allow them to leave earlier. And the other point is this famous having all people who qualify for a full pension should never get less than 1,200 euros for a pension. That is meant to apply to the new retirees. But I would not be surprised if Elizabeth Borne did not say that this reform would also affect current pensioners who earn less than 1,200 euros a month. So that would sweeten the pill, and maybe at the same time we can see that the problem that Macron has, he has no majority in parliament, but the Republicans, the Republican right, the party of Sarkozy and Pécresse, is ready to make a deal because they've always asked for, they always claimed they wanted a reform with raising the age to 65, as Valérie Pécresse said in her campaign. So, but they want to appear as the people who help construct and soften the blow. For example, instead of increasing the pension age by 1 semester a year, it would be by 1 quarter a year, which means that in 4 years' time, the retirement age will raise the retirement age will raise to 63, and in 2 years' time to 64. So I expect that he might find in Parliament, the debate will take place in February, he should be able to have a majority, but at the same time, the opposition, especially the right-wing opposition, will want to give the impression that they've contributed to measures which will soften the blow of this unpopular reform.